Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Destination Happiness. Today I'm actually recording from Airlie Beach Lagoon and it's a hot day. It's really busy here and not gonna lie, I feel a bit weird recording around all these people. I'm just sat in the middle of the lagoon, there's people walking by and I'm just sat here by myself with my mic talking. So this is a bit strange for me, but you know, I'm all about stepping out of your comfort zone. In today's episode, I am going to be discussing solo travel and how you can get out there and start solo traveling. Perhaps it's been something that you've always thought about doing, but you're not really sure where to start. Or maybe you want to go with your friends and no one can come with you, so you're kind of stuck thinking, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll just have to go by myself. There are so many benefits to solo traveling, and I might go into them just in a bit more detail. One of the benefits of solo travel is you can learn so much about yourself and grow as a person individually. And what I mean by that is when you travel by yourself, you learn so much about you and what you like. You learn lots about what you don't like. One of the things that I found about myself is I actually enjoy spending time alone. There's so much freedom and flexibility that comes with solo travel too. If you're traveling with a big group of friends, you may need to decide as a group what you guys want to do, things you want to see. Maybe you probably all want to do different things and then you kind of have to compromise between one another on like what you guys are willing to do, especially if there is a big group of you. Most of the time, you'll all want to do the same thing, so someone won't get to do something that they want to do. Other people will be doing things that they don't want to do. And yeah, you just don't really have as much freedom. The advantage of traveling by yourself is you don't need to think about other people's thoughts or feelings without that sounding too selfish. If you want to lay in for the morning, if you want to wake up particularly early and see the sunrise or go on a hike, for example, whatever. Okay, so how to solo travel? The first thing you need to do is plan your adventure. And when I say plan, you don't really need to do much planning. You just need to have a particular place in mind. When I was in Rome, it was over a weekend. I think I had 3 days in Rome. I didn't really plan things in advance. I kind of was just like woke up and decided, what do I want to do today? It was Saturday. I was planning on going to Vatican City, and then I changed my plans last minute. I was like, I'll go tomorrow. But when I woke up on the Sunday, I didn't realise that's their religious day and you cannot visit Vatican City on a Sunday. So that's just one thing that I couldn't do. What I would recommend for solo travelling is to stay at hostels. And I go on about hostels so much, and for good reason. Hostels are so social. A lot of other people staying there, especially other solo travellers who are looking to make new friends, just like, you know, in the kitchen, cutting up some vegetables, and you make conversations with these people because they're all around. It's a social place. And yeah, it is a good way to make friends. You may bump into people who are going the same direction as you. Some people, including myself, stayed at a guest house in Siargao. Me and Eve and Eliz, us 3 girls travelling together, we got a guest house and it was like our little apartment. We were in Siargao for 10 days, 5 of which we're in the guest house, and it made us feel a bit more like we were locals, like we had our own apartment, we had our own bikes. It just made us really feel like we were a big part of a part of the community. And yeah, the only thing I would say about guest houses is you probably won't meet many people there, but they are a good place to stay. You get your own privacy. Speaking of privacy, you can even book private rooms at hostels. You know, when you're going into your bag, you've got zips and it's noisy and you're rustling things around. When people tell me they're going away and they say they're staying in a hotel, I cringe inside, and I'm sorry if that offends anyone. Hotels do have, you know, their place, and I completely understand why people would go somewhere and book a hotel. I've done it myself in the past. I'll probably do it again in the future. But the only thing with hotels is you don't really feel like you're getting involved in the place too much. It's more of like a place to stay. But when people stay in hotels, I don't know, sometimes they're a bit too luxurious. You can't really indulge in the culture as much, is what I find anyway. Hotels are good, but I honestly would prefer to stay like with a family or in a hostel. Traveling the world has become a huge part of my life over the past few years. But often the logistical side of travel, such as navigating airports and catching flights, can be an overwhelming and stressful experience. Tasks like packing, waking up early, travelling to the airport, and dealing with concerns like overweight baggage and security checks can discourage people from embarking on long-haul journeys. I've had a few stressful airport experiences, like the time I flew from Vietnam to Cambodia and realised I was in the wrong terminal after queuing for over an hour. Misinterpreting the need to take an internal flight in Vietnam before heading to Cambodia, I instinctively went to the international airport. I almost missed my flight and was panicking so much when I realised it would have been so much hassle and time lost waiting to catch another flight. That's why I love it when you finally get through security, find your gate, and take the time to explore the shops. They have so many incredible products that just feed my soul and make me feel better, not just for travel, but in general too. When I'm in the UK, I love to explore World Duty Free, particularly their products from Mind, Body, Soul, which are super helpful in stressful situations while travelling, as they help you relax and feel more at ease, feeling refreshed, ready to take on new experiences. Categorised into relaxed, feel better, better fitness and travel comfort, these products enhance the travel experience, promoting relaxation before, during and long after you've returned home from your trip. I have a few good tips to help make your journey as seamless as possible. Download some music before you switch to airplane mode. Take an empty water bottle with you to fill up after you go through security to stay hydrated, and get some healthy snacks for the plane. I'd also recommend getting an eye mask, neck pillow and some earplugs for the journey to make it a comfortable flight. Mind, Body, Soul have a great range of hydrating lip balm and moisturiser, which I think is a must. The aircon gets incredibly drying on flights, and the last thing you need is to break out just as you go on holiday. Make sure you always stay hydrated and have a backpack to carry water with you, as well as other travelling essentials like sunscreen. The sun is great, but you need to stay safe. Prioritise comfort in your airport outfit, and even take a blanket with you, as it can get pretty cold on those planes. Even if you are headed to a hot country, it can get a little chilly. I always make sure I have my compression socks with me too, to reduce any risk of blood clots. There are lots of ways you can make your journey as comfortable and as restful as possible. When you're next in London Stansted Airport waiting for your flight, check out everything Mind, Body, Soul has to offer. Or if you can't wait for your next trip, you can check out their products online and pre-order to any UK airport World Duty Free at worlddutyfree.com. Maintaining a healthy routine can be challenging, but some gyms around the world have free trials, so I've enjoyed trying out a few whilst travelling. I've had so much fun trying different yoga classes in Bali, and during my recent trip to the Philippines, found myself surfing every day at local spots and keeping active whilst having so much fun and practicing a skill. When bringing back souvenirs for friends and family, consider thoughtful well-being gifts from Mind, Body, Soul. Their natural, ethically sourced products make for meaningful and feel-good presents from your worldly adventures. If you do check it out when you're next at the airport, make sure to tag me and let me know what you think. Inevitably, you're going to meet people while you're traveling, if that's on a tour, if that's at a cafe, a hostel, whatever, and you guys decide to go off and do some activities. Just make sure you guys stick together. There are a few ways you can make sure you save money, make sure you don't spend too much money while you're solo traveling. I always book my flight on a credit card. It's normally probably one of the most expensive things I buy, one of the biggest chunks of money that I spend. I'm normally quite flexible with my dates too, so if it's like, for example, cheaper to fly on a Tuesday instead of a Sunday, then I can be flexible with my dates and make sure I save a bit of money there. That just comes as well with like booking things in advance. Then just be mindful of dates that you're going. If there's a few of you going to the same place, you could potentially look at the option of getting a taxi and booking that and clubbing together and saving money that way. I was actually I was at the airport the other day and I was in Newcastle down in New South Wales near Sydney, and I was trying to get from Newcastle Airport to Newcastle Interchange The bus wasn't going to come for another 20 minutes, and to be honest, I wasn't really sure on the price of a bus, but I wanted to get there as quickly as possible. Do you guys want to share a taxi? And I think we ended up spending like $30 each, maybe $25 each on a cab, and it probably would have maybe not been too much more expensive than the bus, but it meant that we got there as soon as possible. Otherwise it would have taken us at least an hour just to get to the train station, and then that meant that we were able to get an earlier train and save time that way. I think honestly the best way to save money on getting around town is to walk. Obviously depending on how far you've got to go, if you've got lots of bags, etc. I like walking around because it means that you get to see sights, it means that you get to walk past parks and see what the local markets are like, pass by local towns and see all the local people going about their daily lives. But obviously walking is free, it means that you get to save money and also see extra things. As well, trains and like the tube, underground are generally cheaper than getting an Uber or a taxi. So just have a look at different options of getting from A to B and see how you can save money that way. Sometimes it is only a little bit of money that you save, so just weigh it up, just see what suits you. And obviously remember that in the long term, a few dollars can add up and maybe get you a few extra days or an extra week somewhere. Okay, so budgeting in terms of accommodation. I already touched on staying in hostels, and yes, hostels are normally the cheapest place to stay. However, I found in Australia that hostels can be so expensive. I was in Sydney a few days ago, and the price of like a hostel in a dorm was like $90 to $100 per night for like multiple man dorm, like 6-bed dorm, 8-bed dorm, because it was New Year's. And I was booking for me and my friend Liz, and we actually found that it would have been cheaper, so this is what we did, to get an Airbnb. So we paid like $200 for an Airbnb, so probably about the same price, but a lot more comfortable. So yeah, just be mindful of that, because hostels are not always the cheapest way to go. So yeah, if you're spending $100 a night on an Airbnb or $90 a night on an 8-bed man hostel, then, I mean, it's up to you what you want to do. But at the end of the day, sometimes you've got to be a bit more comfortable. I love food, and I could probably say food is probably one of the main reasons why I travel, obviously apart from the culture as well, but food is life. I love food. You can get cheap food by going out and eating at markets and just trying new things that you haven't had before. A lot of the time there will be particular markets for food, like maybe every Wednesday, or maybe it'll be like an every evening thing at sunset. Like in Shargal, there was markets along Sunset Bridge, and yeah, sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's not nice, but you don't spend too much money, you get to try new things. I tried a lot of questionable meats as well, and by that I think I probably ate an animal that I probably shouldn't have. Alright, one of the things that you'll have to do when you're solo traveling is just embrace everything, embrace the journey. And as well as the highs, there can be some lows. You may get the odd feeling of loneliness, especially if you're by yourself for a long period of time. But I think the thing to remember is that you could be with a group of people and still feel lonely, but then also you could be by yourself and feel the most liberated you have. I think loneliness is something that comes from within, and whether you're with or without other people, you could still feel lonely regardless. What I like to do, and what I've recently made a conscious effort to do, is to make sure I stay in touch with my friends and family through FaceTime or just a little message here and there. Just be like, hey, thinking of you. I don't know, I saw this flamingo and it reminded me of you. And yeah, it's one of my daily goals is just to stay in touch with my friends and family back home. But obviously you can make new friends while you're on the road, and you may even have friendships that are more deeper and meaningful than anything you've ever had before. I don't normally rave about tours, but I think tours do have a time and a place. Like if it's an informational tour, for example, or say a boat tour, it's not like you're going to go out and get your own boat by yourself. But you can make friends on tours. Like I've already said about hostels, you can make friends there. You can meet people at local cafes or just out and about in general, doing whatever. I feel like as well, when you're traveling by yourself and you meet people on the road, normally shared experiences make the friendship so much stronger than a friendship you could cultivate back at home in your hometown. It's hard to explain unless you've actually experienced it yourself, but within a matter of 2 days, 3 days, you feel like you're somebody's best friend, and you've not really known them for that long, but through shared experiences, you guys just bond so well together and have this close friendship that you would have never have had without that shared experience. One of the examples that springs to mind is the Harjang Loop. And for us, that was a 4-day bike ride around the north of Vietnam in the mountains. For the first day or two, I was navigating our group of 6, and we accumulated more people along the way. I'm not sure how that happened, but we did. So after 4 days and 4 nights of riding around the mountains in Vietnam in the pissing rain, me and all these other people just felt like we were really connected with one another through that shared experience. Similarly, I was at a festival the other day for New Year's. There were these girls that we met there, and we just had the best time together. We were listening to Carl Cox, we were listening to Dom Dolla, and like so many other people. And yeah, just like through the festival, dancing together, like drinking together, and like going through all the same experiences together. Yeah, you just make a bond that is different to anything else. Another part of embracing the journey is connecting with the local culture and people. I think it would be very close-minded to simply go somewhere, not really think about the culture or the history of the place, just to close it off, not really pay attention to the place's past or think about what the locals do, what they eat. I remember my dad and I used to watch Carl Pilkington, An Idiot Abroad, and there was an episode where he went to China and he wasn't prepared to try any of the local food. I mean, I guess it's fair enough if it's something that you're not used to, but I feel like you should at least try these things, or at least just appreciate them and acknowledge them. Yeah, when he was in China, I think he bought like 3 packets of Monster Munch, and that was for emergencies. I think he ate it for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and then by the second day he had nothing to eat, so he was forced to eat a scorpion. And I mean, that is quite funny for like TV purposes, but in the real world, I would hate for people to just go out and not try things. Actually, I don't know who I was speaking to. I think it was one of my passengers on the boat, who said that they went to Asia for like months, maybe like 4-6 months or something, and they did not try rice once. And I was like, what the hell? Like, how can you go to Asia and not have rice? It's such a staple in their diet. And they said, yeah, they just never liked rice when they were younger, so they didn't want it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, come on. If you're allergic to rice, then fair enough. But if it's just a case of, yeah, I didn't like it when I was younger, I don't like it now, then just like, grow up and try these things. That's the reason why you're traveling, is it not? I was in Paris and I didn't want to, but, escargot is a big part of their culture. The thought of it made me feel sick, but yep, sure did. I ordered a serving of escargot. I think it was like 6 snails that came. Me and the girl that I met at the hostel, funnily enough, went out for dinner together and we tried it. It took me 5 minutes to pluck up the courage to put it in my mouth, and I was trying my hardest to make sure I tried it. And yeah, I tried it and I hated it, but it's fine because at least I can say I tried it. You never know, it could have been my new favourite thing. But the importance there is that I tried it and I gave it a go and I completely indulged myself in the culture. There will be multiple times when you're solo travelling that you step out of your comfort zone. And yeah, it is a bit uncomfortable, unfamiliar when you do these new things, and it just feels a bit weird because it's like, well, I've never done that before, like I don't want to do that. But then you just got to do it. Well, I spoke about this in the last episode, but the very first time I went travelling with Ashley, we're in Sydney, we're in Nomad's Hostel, and it was like 1 a.m, 2 a.m, something stupid because we were really jet lagged. and we had to go into the dorm. We got in the dorm, the lights were off, everyone's sleeping in there. We're just like, this feels a bit odd, like, do we want to get a private room for the first night and then start again tomorrow? We're kind of just like talking with ourselves, like, what should we do? And we just decided, let's just go in and just embrace it, and we'll reconvene here in the morning. And we did it, and it was fine. And yeah, it made us really uncomfortable, but we still did it anyway. So up I climbed into the top bunk, and I lay in bed, stayed as still as possible as to not make any noise because the bunk bed was creaky. And yeah, just went to sleep, and it was fine. I expanded my comfort zone that night, and so did Ashley. I'm expanding my comfort zone right now. I'm currently recording from Early Beach Lagoon, and there's people walking past. There's people looking at me, giving me funny looks, like, why is that girl holding a mic? Why is she sat down by herself? And why is she talking? What's she talking about? And yeah, it is a bit weird, but you know what? You've got to expand your comfort zone every day. You've got to challenge yourself at least once a day or once a week. Make sure that it's a regular thing you're doing. The other day as well, when I was at the festival, again, expanded my comfort zone. There was this daytime session on, it was like, during the day, what you're going to do at a festival. So they got like these workshops on, they did some pottery, they do some yoga, and then they also had this like speed dating event on. And I thought maybe that would be quite funny. And I said to the girls, I was like, hey, look, there's speed dating on, do you want to go? They're like, no. So, oh, what do you mean? Like, they just weren't up for it. I think they're a bit too shy or a bit too embarrassed. I thought, well, do you know what? If they don't want to go, I'm still going to go by myself. And yes, it was very awkward at first, but after like 2 minutes, I got over it. And the girls were like, oh, well done, like, good on you for going by yourself. And like, even the people that I met at the speed dating, I said to them, I was like, oh, they were like, who are you here with? And I said, well, my friends, but they've gone away now. They're doing pottery. I'm just here by myself. And they were just like, oh, like, that's really good on you. And you know what? I met some cool people at the event, girls and boys. Like, it was just a group thing. It was funny. Like, it wasn't meant to be anything serious. Again, expanded my comfort zone. And it was literally, like a week ago. And yeah, there's going to be multiple opportunities every day, every week, where you can do something that makes you feel uncomfortable. And you know what? You've just got to do it. Okay, so to summarise, how to solo travel. Step 1, book a flight. Step 2, book a hostel. Step 3, take the flight to the hostel, make some friends in the kitchen or when you brush your teeth. Step 4, go and do some fun activities by yourself, or you can do it with people that you've met at the hostel. Step 5, enjoy yourself, have fun, make sure you make lots of memories, smile, take some pictures, take some videos. And step 6, do it again. No, but in all seriousness, yeah, solo traveling, you don't need to think too much about it. Just make sure you stay safe, make sure you stay in touch with your friends and your family back home. But to be honest, like, it's really not that deep. Maybe you might be feeling anxious about just even the thought of solo traveling might scare you entirely. And believe me, at one time in my life, it did also scare me as well. But I'm so used to it now. You just got to go out there and do it. But my number 1 tip is to stay in hostels, because it's easy to meet people. It's easy to ask questions to the staff. Normally they're in good locations, so if you book a hostel, it's going to be good for transportation links, and you can ask for advice from people in terms of like where to go or how to get from A to B or things to do, things like that. And yeah, just make sure you have fun. I think the hardest part about solo traveling is actually getting up and doing it. Once you've taken the leap, everything is so easy, but the hardest part is just simply getting there. All right, I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you found some value and you're ready to plan your next solo trip or to do it again if you've already done it again. But if you have any further questions, please just send me a DM. Don't hesitate to contact me. I'm always here to help you guys with your trips and make sure everything goes smooth sailing. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave me a good review, as it helps boost it so that other people can hear Destination Happiness and get inspired, get advice about solo traveling. If you'd like to hear anything particular in future episodes, then just send me a message with any questions you have. If there's a particular topic you want me to talk about, then just let me know. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next episode.